Hey, what's up, guys? This is Johnny, and welcome to episode 31 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. We're out here in Newport Beach, California, with my friend Elaine.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, glad to have you on, and nice to be back in the U.S. How's it being here by the beach?
I love it, and I'm glad that you could come and visit.
Yeah, nice. So I've known Elaine for a long time now. For how long? How many years? I don't know, probably at least 8, maybe 10?
10 years, probably.
Okay. And I'm excited that, so Elaine, she still has her corporate job that she's been, working at. And she's been doing a online business on the side. And we don't talk that much about it. I think we talked about it a lot when she first set it up. But what's cool is after all these months coming back to visit and seeing her store and seeing how she's progressed, she's now making quite a few sales. And what's cool is she's figured out how to make sales a completely different way than I have doing the same business. But before we get to all that, why did you decide to start a online store in the first place?
Well, I think I had called you or talked to you when you were in Thailand and had thought about doing this on my own. Remember, we had what? You're doing the same thing too? And so you had turned me on to Anton's program, and I watched the videos, and it was exactly what I had already been thinking about doing. I just didn't know where to start, so the timing was just perfect.
Okay, so I didn't even realize that. I completely forgot how it all started. But so you already had something in mind that you're like, okay, I don't want to work for a boss forever. I want to be able to do my own thing, and this course just happened to help you be able to guide you through it, right?
Yeah, I was looking at an online store. I knew a little bit about drop shipping. I just didn't know where to begin. And there's so many sites out there, and a lot of them just want to sell you something, and you just can't even figure out what they're trying to sell.
All right. Well, before we get into all that, let's talk a little bit about life out here in Newport Beach, because this is, probably the nicest place in California to live. You're a block from the beach. We just got back from riding your beach cruiser around. We went for a walk on the beach, and it's almost summer, so it's beautiful out here. How do you think this compares to living, let's say, first in the rest of the U.S., and would you live anywhere else?
No, I would not live anywhere else. I did live in Irvine for a year, hated it, and moved back here, so I'm pretty much here to stay.
All right. So if I had to live back in the U.S. or in California, and this would probably be the area, I was just in San Francisco a week ago, and it was freezing cold, and I just couldn't take it. It just, especially coming from Thailand, it was just way, way too cold. And it's seriously here, the weather is pretty much perfect all year round, but it is a pretty high cost of living in California, especially in Newport. So if you're just kind of getting by, I think it sucks to live anywhere in the U.S., especially in an expensive place like California. So I think if I was only making a few $1,000s online or through my job, I'd much rather be in Thailand. Can you like monthly expenses in Thailand? I can easily get by with $1,500 a month, and that would be impossible here.
Yeah, unless you were renting a room for like $200 a month,
which wouldn't be possible.
I have a friend who's renting a room for $200 a month.
And I bet you that room is not very nice.
It's just a bedroom inside someone's house, and they have a family.
Okay. And, for the $200, you can have your own apartment in Thailand. It won't be like a castle. It won't be a super nice apartment, but it'll be your own apartment, and it'll probably be nicer for sure, because you have the freedom and the flexibility of living on your own. So, when I got back here 2 weeks ago, to be honest, I was like, what the heck am I doing in the U.S.? Because I was perfectly happy in Thailand, and I think this is the first trip in all these years where I wasn't really looking forward to coming back, and I only came back because I had 2 weddings to go to. All the other years before that, I was looking forward to coming back because I missed something. I missed the food, or I missed the people, miss the friends. Miss conveniences of being able to shop or go out to eat nice food. But I think now that I'm living in Chiang Mai, I have all those modern conveniences. We have the equivalent of the Whole Foods market. We can get whatever you want. We have the equivalent of all the nice restaurants. So there's nothing I really, really missed about it. But now that I'm back for a few weeks, I am very comfortable. I mean, life out here actually is very good. So what would motivate you to want to be in your own business and not just work for a company?
Me?
Yeah.
I just like the freedom of being mobile. If you do have an online business, you're able, I want to be able to travel and be able to go somewhere for a month just to stay there and have a change of scenery and not, be tied down with work responsibilities. And if you make enough, you should be able to continue making money while you're vacationing. Well,
what's cool is while we were sitting here for the last hour, your phone went off twice and you got 2 new sales.
Yeah.
And how does that feel?
It feels great. I mean,
do you get used to it, or does it still feel good every time that comes in?
It feels good every time because it's very sporadic. If it was maybe I got, a set amount of sales every day, then I might not be as excited. Because there are days I go through where I don't get a sale. And I'm like, what's wrong? I wonder, if something's not working. And then all of a sudden I'll get 2 in 1 hour. This is what just happened.
That same doubt kind of hits me sometimes. I remember you messaged me a month ago saying, hey, what's going on? I haven't gone, I was getting X amount of sales a day, and then all of a sudden nothing for the last 3 days. What should I do? And I think it happened to be some weekend where it was some holiday weekend. For example, a couple days ago was Easter, and everyone is with their family on that day. Nobody's shopping online. But then now, it's been a few days since then, people are starting to buy stuff again because people are back in the office, people are back in their normal routine. So I don't worry about it too much anymore. Before it used to freak me out.
Well, my dry spell lasted 7 days. I was like, wow, what happened? Do I need to just give up and start a new business?
Yeah. But did you do anything different, or did it just kick back in again?
It just came back. I examined, but I was too scared to change anything because I didn't see anything wrong. Okay.
Well, sometimes, if you have everything set up correctly, it's good just to have faith and let it run. But other times, it's, basically it's time to take a look. Why is this not working? For me, what I always do is I always Google some of my best-selling products that I know people are searching for. And I make sure I just come up on Google. Because if they can't find you, if your customers can't find you, if you can't find yourself, no one else can find you either. But what I really like about what you've done is you figured out a way to kind of turn what otherwise might not be the best niches in the world. Because we were talking about earlier how, she was kind of, Elaine was having some problems with spending too much on advertising and having things not convert. And we're taking a look and I'm like, why would someone come and click all your ads and not buy anything? And then we realized, her niche is just really complicated stuff that people just, it's not like something someone types in, I want a, green 6-foot love seat, and, I always want to buy it. It's, something that they do a lot of research on, they're confused about, so they end up clicking a lot and spending a lot of money on ads. But what I think is really cool is, kind of using everything that she learned in Anton's course to basically set up the store, get approved by suppliers, and instead of just kind of giving up on the niche, she's found alternative ways to get business from it. And you've done all that kind of without, really a network. You're kind of just out here. Do you have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs?
I do, but they're in totally different fields. So one is a distributor of medical devices in Asia. Okay. And the other one distributes cosmetic products in Europe and Asia and South America. Okay. So nothing online. They have distributors in other countries selling their products.
But do you still hang out with them kind of on a regular basis, or?
Yeah, I am actually dating one of them, and his best friend does it, and I've met other people, even unrelated to them, that actually do a similar thing.
I think it helps a lot to be around kind of just like-minded business people in general, not necessarily just other entrepreneurs who are doing the same business. Like you're asking me, over at Punspace in Chiang Mai, or most people doing drop shipping? And I said, no, most people are doing just random other online businesses. But it still helps to be friends with them and have them around, because it lets you see, hey, there's so many different possibilities on how to make money online, and everybody's kind of doing something different.
I totally agree, because I have friends that have jobs that are pretty set, like, property manager, go in 8 to 5, or admin type roles, and they're really boring people. Like,
Yeah.
I love them. I see them once a week for happy hour, but their job is not interesting at all, because they do the same thing every day, and then they complain about how they need to find a way to make more money, and they get like a 10% promotion every year if their review comes back good, but it's not very exciting.
And I think that kind of grind mentality that people get into, it's very, very common out here. I mean, I've actually noticed that kind of throughout the years. I don't know if the U.S. economy is getting worse or, kind of what it is, but it seems like morale in the U.S. has actually gone down. Like, I think people generally are less happy than they were a few years ago when I saw them. And I don't know if it's just because my friends are getting old or like older, and they're still at the same jobs, kind of going through the same motions, and nothing's really changed in the last 4 years for them. But for me, I mean, in the last 4 years, I've been to, 20 different countries. I've had all these different new experiences I've never done before. And now that I have my own business, every day is kind of like a new, kind of exciting challenge.
I think there's a lack of innovation here. If you have a job, you pretty much go to work and you complete a set of administrative responsibilities, there's just not a whole lot of excitement. I mean, you might have something happen here and there that changes it up, but innovation-wise, there's not a lot of, the cutting-edge technology, the new ideas, those are all entrepreneurs, and you're not going to be exposed to them because most people go to school, graduate college, and get a regular job.
And I think a lot of times that people work for a company, in the beginning they might be excited to try new things and they have new ideas. And the boss, normally kind of an older person who's kind of set in their ways, just shuts down those ideas.
I think that happens too, you lose that creativity. Well, you don't lose it. It just kind of goes inside and doesn't come back out.
It goes to die in a dark place.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't always do everything correctly. I chase random businesses once in a while, chase random niches and try different things. But for me, it's exciting, and I always learn something from it. And because I'm my own boss, I can just chase it and see what happens. And I kind of have a rule nowadays where if it doesn't cost me more than $100 or a week's worth of my time to set up, I'll chase anything. I mean, because you never know what's going to be a good niche or what's going to be a good viable business.
I think that's the thing too, exploration. A lot of people here don't explore because, they live 10 miles from work, or they have an hour-long commute, and then they do the same thing every day. They don't really experience new things, and the more you experience, the more you expand your knowledge, you get new ideas that you can put into your own business.
Well, one thing I really like about Google is they tell their employees that I think it was 10% of their time is should be dedicated to any project that they want, even if it has nothing to do with Google's current projects. So basically, they can dream up, I want to make a rocket ship, and they're allowed. We're actually encouraged to spend 10% of their working day, or I guess one day out of every 10 days to work on any project they want. And that's actually how a lot of Google innovation comes about, is because people think, what would be cool is if we had a car drive around every single city in the US and film every single street turn so we can have real maps, and that becomes a reality because some guy just dreamt it up. And I don't think we have that in most companies. But when it's your own business, it's so you can you could do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
and I love that.
I totally agree. And if you mess up, you don't have to tell anyone that you failed. You can just, now on to the next idea.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things I fail to mention to people because I do mess up, and I'm sure Johnny does as well.
Oh, all the time. So last night I was up until 2 a.m. working on this Paperly magazine, this online magazine that I had this brilliant idea thinking, this is going to be awesome. And I slept until 7 a.m., so I only slept a few hours, and I woke up excited about it again. So, I grabbed my laptop right over to Starbucks and finished the magazine. If you guys want to check it out, it's optimizedlab.com. And now that it's done, I'm like, well, what the heck is the point of it? Because everybody that follows my blog or my Twitter, already knows who I am. So what's the point of me having it again on another site? But you know what? It's up and it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to let it run. And you know what? At the end of the day, it only cost me $9 to set up. And it only took me a day of without sleep. So why not, right? Because these are just fun little things that...
It's rewarding when you complete something. Like you finished it. You look back, maybe it wasn't the greatest idea. You're not going to make any money from it. But it keeps you going and it keeps your creativity spinning so that you can continue with new ideas and better ideas that do work.
But do you think sometimes it's better just to be focused and finish, a task at a hand? Like I still have a massive to-do list. And one of the things on there, so I have a massive to-do list. And the funny thing about it is, out of the 10 things, there's 3 that I know will make me money. Things like call another supplier and get approved as a dealer for them. Second would be add more products to one of my e-commerce sites. Third would be to make another e-commerce site in another niche. And I know these things will make me money for sure, 100%. If I actually dedicate the time to it. But I'm just not motivated to do it.
There's a few ways to attack that. One is to do like a cram session where you do as much as you can and you actually accomplish a lot. You just check them off your list and get, some of it done. Then you feel better and it's like a starting process where it, snowballs into you've actually accomplished a lot. The other is to just do a little bit at a time and it all adds up. But you just got to start and just do a little bit and then see if you want to just attack as much as possible or let it drag out and do a little bit at a time and then make progress slowly. But you just got to start.
Even when I was in college or even high school and I had a term, I had some paper due or something, I remember I would procrastinate until the last possible second.
Some people work better that way where, like I said, you cram it and you force yourself to do as much as possible, set a timer for 2 hours, turn off your cell phone and everything and just get 2 hours of work done. You'll be surprised at how much you accomplish.
What's crazy is if you actually just work like an hour a day consistently on a project, you can literally finish anything. I know that if I had written just even one page every single day since I decided to write the second book, it would be halfway done. But instead, I wrote 3 chapters in one day, and then I was like, you know what, I don't like it, and I just didn't touch it for 2 months. But I've decided, I think it was just the other day, on my blog, johnnyft.com, I wrote chapter 1, where I wrote the intro to the new book. It's going to be called Life Changes Quick. And it's basically about this last year of how quickly life changed after I finally set some goals and said, no more BS, no more shortcuts. Let me actually get in the best shape of my life. Not trying to do some quick fix thing. No diet pill, no crash diet. But I'm just gonna eat real food for a year. I'm gonna exercise like a normal person, and actually pay for somebody to attend a CrossFit class or have a personal trainer and do it correctly. And from that, it kind of stemmed, me wanting to do everything else correctly. So the book is basically going to be about, getting in the best shape of your life, building a real business, and having the freedom to be able to travel. And having all that brings you, basically attracts an amazing person to your life, because once you're, physically attractive and you're mentally attractive and you're confident, you're happy, that's really when the most beautiful women and the beautiful, beautiful relationships kind of sprout about. So I really wanted to write this book because, I wanted to document this whole journey change, because my first book is about how to live as cheaply as possible in Thailand. And that book, I think during the time, it was, it it was exactly how I felt. I'm like, it's stupid to make too much money or, want to live in a nice place or spend more than $5 on food. You can live in Thailand for $600 a month. And at the time, that was what made me happy. So that's why I wrote 12 Weeks in Thailand. And now that I had this new book on the project, I want to finish it by midsummer. And by me live writing it based on the blog, it forces accountability because everyone on the blog is kind of waiting for the next chapter now.
I think it's good to focus on what you're good at, and that's what having your own business gives you is, you do better because those tasks are easier.
Yeah.
Because you're just naturally good at it. You're a naturally good writer as opposed to me. I'm a horrible writer. It takes me forever to draft an email, and if I were to start a blog, I would come out with like one article every 6 months, and it would be like torture. So you got to also try to, focus on the things that you're naturally good at.
That definitely makes sense. And I mean, for me, I really do enjoy writing, but I enjoy kind of the instant gratification of a blog post. I know once I write a blog post, it's up and people read it right away. People leave comments, people, forward it on Facebook, on Twitter, and right away you get feedback. And I like that. The problem with the book is you wait, 3 months or 6 months to write it. Then it takes another couple of months to have it be edited and be published. And I feel like you're doing all this work for a future, for something in the future, but it's so much easier to just bang out a one-page blog post and have everybody, be able to see it right then. And I think that's the main reason why I'm doing this live blog post where it almost doesn't make sense because everyone that reads my blog will basically read the whole book while I write it, so there's no reason for them to buy it.
But you're doing both. So
yeah.
You do the blog because you like doing it. The book takes a little bit more hard work and dedication, but the fact that you're able to incorporate things that you like into it makes it a little bit more tolerable. Whereas when you have a crappy job, it's like you gotta go to work whether you like it or not, and you can't make those adjustments.
And if I told my boss, like, all right, so this was like an actual job, and I had a boss, and I said, hey boss, this is what I'm gonna do. So I know we're supposed to sell these books, but what I'm gonna do instead is I'm just gonna give it away. All right, I'm gonna give it away while we make it. It's not even gonna be done. I'm just gonna give it away. Let's say we're making a table. I'm going to make one leg, give that away. Make the second leg, give it away. Make the top, give it away. And then at the end, I'm going to sell the tables for anyone that doesn't want to put it together themselves. But it'll be all finished and be nice.
Yeah, I don't think people would really buy into that.
But you know what? Good thing I don't have a boss because I'd be fired by now.
Yeah.
and you know what? It's great. It's being, having these e-commerce stores and kind of basically running semi-passively in the background. We were talking about earlier how much time we actually spend on it. So today, I woke up, I actually woke up early, went to Starbucks. That was kind of my office of the day. But I don't think I spent any time on my e-commerce stores. I might have checked 1 or 2 emails. But I really just spent my time, making the Optimized Lab magazine. And I checked Facebook for a while, and then I went and had brunch with my cousin, and then I drove out here, and we hung out on the beach.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. I think the good feeling is, when you make progress, even though it's like little projects, like Johnny completed that magazine, even though it's a little bit pointless. He's saying now, we'll see. I haven't seen it yet, but just that feeling, it's a good motivation, accomplishing things, and then you can set off to accomplish more. So you should work on that to-do list. Yeah,
and I definitely will. And the nice thing is when I do work, I sit down and I'll bang it out, and I do work, and it's easy to forget that those first 2 months of setting up my e-commerce store, I was working, basically 6-7 hours a day on it, and sometimes I stay up late at night adding products or kind of tweaking things around. And now I actually felt like I didn't do anything today, and I didn't make any. I really felt like I didn't make any sales, which is why I actually just pulled up my phone, my Shopify app, to see if I actually made any sales or not. Because while we were sitting here and you just got those 2 sales, I was a little bit envious, thinking, "Fuck, how come my phone's not going off?" And then I just pulled up my phone and I made
3 orders?
3 orders, $977 in revenue, so about $1,000 in sales. And that's actually a pretty good day. And I'm like, how did I forget about this? And just,
get envious that my phone went off.
Yeah.
Yours didn't.
So we're gonna see whose phone goes off next, okay? So during this podcast, did it just go off? Come on, okay.
No, it was a text.
Good. I would have been really envious about that. But it's cool that we were able to make sales while kind of just catching up, having a nice lunch. We went to Saddle Ranch, is this cowboy themed restaurant.
With the bull, you see it on TV, on those reality shows. The people always ride the bull and fall off.
But who else can, go and have... I mean, she had prime rib. And I had what kind of steak did I have?
Ribeye.
I had a ribeye. Who the heck does that on a Tuesday afternoon at like 2:30?
We were hungry. It was a late lunch.
But it just gives us the freedom to be able to do that. I mean, like, it's seriously... If you asked me 2 years ago, would I have a job where I could spend half the day on the beach and then spend $40 on a steak for lunch on a random Tuesday for no reason, literally no apparent reason, I would have said, no, that's stupid. I would never do that. But now, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and I kind of enjoy things like that a lot more than spending $40 on drinks out at a club or...
I don't think I shop as much. I don't think I go out as much. I have all the things that I need. I love my condo, and a lot of those things don't matter anymore. So if I want to go out and spend money on a meal, I actually enjoy it. And usually you choose nicer restaurants where the food is worth the money that you're paying.
Yeah, because, we could have a steak at home, and I could have that for, that same steak for $10 or something.
Or we could have gone to Denny's
or
Norm's.
But I think what it is, I do appreciate those things, and I don't spend money on stupid stuff anymore. I don't spend money on on fashion or clothes or like
the latest phone.
Yeah, and I don't buy video games anymore. I don't buy CDs. I don't even know what people buy anymore. I mean, I don't buy new, yeah, whatever.
Well, I'm a girl. I like clothes, shoes, and
okay. But I don't spend money on material things anymore to impress other people. I'll spend a lot of money buying stuff that makes me happy. And I really like efficient, functional things now. I mean...
Quality things, so it doesn't break and you have to buy it again in a few months.
Okay, so this is going to sound retarded, but those plain black flip-flops that I wore today, how much do you think those would normally cost?
Flip-flops are probably around $20.
Okay, I spent $80 on those.
I was going to say maybe $30. I had a feeling they were going to be like $2.
I used to spend $2 on all of my flip-flops. I would go to Old Navy and get them, or I'd buy the bootleg Havianas in Thailand. So why the heck did I spend $80 on it? It's because they are made so well. Like the quality of them, the efficiency of them, they work, and I know they're not going to break anytime soon. I know. They're just made well, and they're made by a company called Luna, and they're called the Monos, and they have monkey grip technology.
So you won't slip and fall in your flip-flops?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've literally climbed a mountain wearing those. So in Thailand, there's this 2-day overnight hike, and I had a pair of those, and unfortunately, after a year and a couple of mountains, they've worn out, where I had to buy another pair, but there's no way I could have done that in normal flip-flops without killing myself. I mean, today I ran up that little hill that you had.
Oh, yeah, to see the ocean.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to do that in normal shoes. So, to me, you know what? If a company's going to go out and design the ultimate pair of flip-flops that form to my feet, that I can run in, that I can, jump off of things in, and I'll pay for it. Things like that I'll pay for. And I love having the income to be able to pay for that now. And while, if you asked me 5 years ago if I was going to pay $80 for any shoes, I mean, if definitely not sandals, I would have said
flip-flops.
Sandals. So so at some point, like, what is your income goal for your online businesses where you're going to say, you know what, I'm not going to work for anyone else again. This this is it. I mean, because I know your expenses are higher. You own a condo. You live in one of the most expensive places in the U.S. And, you have expenses. Like, for me, it's really easy. I could say, if I made $1,000 a month, I'll just quit my job, move to a cheap place like Thailand, and then from there, I'll focus my time on, and I'll be able to live fine. Like, do you have a specific income goal where you're going to quit your job?
Ideally, I think I would like it to be, say, like $4,000 a month.
Okay.
But if I had to, I could probably quit at around $3,000 and kind of budget a little bit. So $3,000 would probably be the minimum. Okay,
so this time next year, all right, we're gonna have that goal for you, especially because we just realized. So I asked Elaine, I was like, how many sales are you making on average now per week? So total products, how many do you sell per week?
Probably about 5 to 10.
Okay, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's actually pretty good. That's 1 or 2 products per day. And then I found out, I was like, your Shopify store hasn't been working for the last 4 months. How the heck, where the freak are people even buying your products?
I don't know, which is very interesting because, according to Johnny, my product listing ads aren't working well, but I'm still getting random traffic, so I don't know. No explanation. And when I went into my Google shopping app in Shopify, it had an error on every single one of my products because I didn't claim my website, which is one of the steps you need to do to start the Google shopping.
And it takes about 10 seconds to do. It basically, you just go in, you click, yes, this is my website.
So I think that's exactly what you do. And I think I just spent so much time in the beginning. I was so burnt out staring at the site. I didn't look at it for a month. And I just needed a break, and I'm glad Johnny's here now to look at the mess I've done and the fixes I need to. And they're small fixes. I think I just need to take a step back and have someone else look at it.
And I'm super confident that once you make those couple little tiny changes, you're going to make so many more sales from your stores. And you literally, I was just kind of Googling some of your products as I would as a customer, and I'm like, your ads aren't even showing, nothing's showing. I'm like, how the heck are people even finding you? And you're still making 10 sales a week. So by them, being able to find you, it's almost like, imagine you are a restaurant and the address is incorrect on your website and you're not picking up the phone. Right? But people are still coming. You're like, all right, well, that's fine. Right? I'm good. But imagine once you have, you put a sign up on your front door. How much better that's going to be. So I'm excited for that. But you're definitely right, where sometimes it just takes a fresh pair of eyes to look to see what you're doing. Because when you're and I understand, it's frustrating when you're, uploading files and you're making these little tweaks and you're kind of, looking for photos to upload, to match the products, and your suppliers aren't really, giving you everything that you want, and everything that you need. And you have to go and do this almost kind of like grunt work. Right? It's
mundane, and you do the same thing over and over, like uploading products. Sometimes you just have to upload one at a time. And after the 10th one, you just want to kill yourself. And then reconvene the next day. You do a few more, you do a few each day, and it's almost like I hate my job now.
But guess what? That's exactly how I felt when I had a corporate job and they had me, do these kind of mundane tasks day to day. And the only kind of thing that got me through it, I think, in the beginning...
A paycheck.
Yeah, it was a paycheck. And now that you don't... it's not a guaranteed paycheck. You don't know...
Which makes it worse. Because you're like, am I wasting my time?
But the great thing is, once you start making those sales, and you're like, oh, crap. By me doing this, the more products I upload, the more descriptions I write, the more photos I put for each of my products, the more money will come. And... I don't really know if I'd want to do it all again, to be honest. I probably would have just hired some guy in India or the Philippines to do it for me for $3 an hour in retrospect, or for my next niches I'm going to start. But in kind of thinking back, it was worth it. It's 100% worth it. Putting in that effort.
You have to do the first store yourself. And then even when you have someone else do the store, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to go through the store as if and read everything because they may not do it correctly. So you might end up spending just as much time going through and reviewing all the work that you've paid somebody to do.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and that's kind of the downside of paying someone $3 an hour from another country. That's why so one of my employees that I have now kind of managing all the customer service aspects of some of my stores, he's American and I pay him, like a normal, actually I pay him pretty well. I mean, it's, not amazingly well, but I pay him more than $10 an hour. So he's very happy. And I give him bonuses as well. I told him, like, look, I'll give you $10 an hour easily. I'm happy doing that. And if you do well and you make sales, I'm happy to give you bonuses because at the end of the day, I'd much rather have him just do all the work and have me not even check my email for a week. I mean, that's my goal. By the end of the next year, I want to be able to go on a 30-day pilgrimage through Spain, the Camino de Santiago. Have you heard of this?
No, do you run with the bulls too?
No, all it is you start in, I think you start on the border of France and Spain, and you literally walk through Spain.
What about the Silk Road? Don't they do that in China where you can do a portion of it?
I'm pretty sure the government shut down the Silk Road for selling heroin using bitcoins.
No. No, my mom was talking about taking a tour because the Silk Road runs through China and you can do sections of it.
Okay.
And then you follow the ancient Silk Road tour.
Okay.
And I think it's like a walking, and they're usually 3 to 5 days depending on how long or far of the road you do.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think what I really kind of just want to be able to do is I want to be able to just not even open my computer for 2 weeks at a time, knowing that everything's completely passive, that my employees are taking care of everything, and I want to be able to come back and have everything not only still doing fine, but I want to have more money in my bank account than I left it.
I think there's a certain level of responsibility as a
no responsibility.
Shop owner, business owner, sorry. And, you have to, if something happens, you need to be there to fix it. I mean, your employees can manage the day-to-day, but do you really want them making serious big decisions?
Well, actually, so one thing that I did was when I found what I was doing, I think I was traveling for a bit, and I was just, I was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have any responsibility. So I purposely kind of just let it run, on its own. And I think at the time, my employee, I didn't have an employee. I was answering calls myself. So I just let it go to voicemail. And I just kind of let everything run. I said, you know what? If sales go down, so be it, right? So I think for 2 weeks, I kind of just didn't do anything. I answered emails once in a while when I felt like it. And sales went down. But the nice thing is, as soon as I was remotivated to kind of pick up the slack again, and I hired another person to take calls, everything kind of worked up perfectly again. If anything, it's better than what it used to be. So the nice thing is about having a business is, an online business is kind of one of those things you kind of just pause in your life. I mean, imagine if you kind of just left your stores right now. I mean, obviously, you'd want to fulfill any orders that you got, but imagine if you just didn't touch it for a while. It's not going to disappear. I mean, it probably won't make as many sales, but
you could probably take a break. I don't think you can completely check out and not, know what's going on. You can probably manage it where you check it every other day, but I think you should still be in tune with what's happening.
Yeah, and as a business owner, I think so imagine if you owned a
you can do it for a short-term period of time. Yeah. You don't want to check in every other day and not do anything for months.
So even as a food truck owner, I was watching this show, it was Hidden Secret Diner or something, and it was basically these guys would sit in this surveillance van and watch their food truck workers open up shop, and he was horrified to find out that they would shut down 2 hours early, all right, and then drive to a different location and start selling soul food out of the truck instead. And they would, because they would come back every night saying, "Oh yeah, we did pretty well, but here's the extras. We didn't sell out." And the boss, he didn't know the difference. And when he saw this, he's like, these guys are taking my truck, using my gas, using my permits, and selling fried chicken out of these trucks and pocketing the cash. So no matter what your business is, as the owner, I guess you really do have to kind of keep an eye out on it. But one of the really cool things is, I didn't even really realize this. I know Anton talked about this in his course, but once you have 1 year of profitability, you can sell these businesses for usually between 18 and to, I don't know, I've heard much higher, but let's say 18 times your monthly revenue. I mean, your monthly profit, which is pretty cool if you think about it. Because if
stores aren't going to run forever, and you should just cash out.
I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the future. But also, it's kind of like, well, I mean, if, the first store, kind of a learning experience, right? But after that, I mean, now, how many stores do you have up now?
I have 2.
You have 2. If you wanted to open a third store, wouldn't it be easier than the first?
It would. Definitely my second store was a lot easier, but then I forgot to do a lot of things. So, it's really hard because you do it on the first store and you think you did it on the second store, and, that's the steps that you're missing.
I did the exact same thing where I just assumed I knew everything. So I was like, all right, yeah. And because I think what it is when people ask me, like, how do I set up this dropship store? And I start explaining it to them, I skip like half of the steps. Because I'm like, oh yeah, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. But it is important, right? So what I actually did for one of my stores recently is I actually went back to AntonMethod.com and watched the videos all again as I was for the first time and said, okay, now I'm picking a niche. Now I'm researching it. Now I'm adding this. And the nice thing about having, those videos is you can always go back and rewatch it, because I guarantee that the first time you watched it, you kind of just skipped over some things that you didn't think were going to be important.
I picked and choose. I'm like, I don't like to do that. I don't need to do that stuff. Yeah. Next.
And then now that you've made all these sales and you have a real business, you go back and you're like, oh yeah, that's important. Why didn't I do that in the first place? Why didn't Anton say in the video the first time? I'm sure he did. It's the same video.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. So yeah, you need an accountability, you need a list, you need to check things off, and you will forget things. I mean, it's such a long process that there's no way you would remember every single step. And I'm sure you come up with your own tweaks, that improve it, that you also need to incorporate.
So one thing I really like is, so Anton, he taught sell on Shopify, sell using Google product ads, and you didn't do either of those.
Yeah, because, there's other marketplaces and stuff that you can sell your products on, and they actually do a lot of advertising. We were Googling them, and they were showing up, not my website. So, you got to look at other sources to sell your products on, not just your Shopify store.
But do you think that if you didn't start with Anton's course and you didn't, use that to set up your first store and get, improved by suppliers, do you think it would have been a lot harder to even think of stuff like that?
You mean come up with a Shopify concept store on my own? Yeah. But, I did do something many years ago. Remember Scott? We're talking about South Africans. His best friend tried to get me to set up a store, and it was just overwhelming. He wanted to do car parts. So it was like 10,000, things for every single car and to map it, and it was just a disaster. But it was a drop shipping method because he knew all the people selling the products and they were going to give it to him. And I already knew about map pricing, and this was probably 5 years ago. So the idea had always been in the back of my head.
Okay. But even then, even kind of being exposed to it, it was just easier just to follow a course and be like,
oh, for sure. I mean, and if not, you can review it, and if you don't want to do it his way, at least you know one way to do it properly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm actually the same way where, in the beginning, 100% Anton method, that's all I did. I said, I'm just going to follow exactly what he says, and it works. And I think kind of after about 6 months of making sales through that, I was like, oh yeah, well, I wonder how I can put my own spin on it now. Let me try this and here and there, and I think that's really honestly the best way to do it is start with a method that works, and then after you made your first couple of sales from it, and you're like, okay, this works. Obviously, I can make money from this. Then you can start tweaking it, in your other ways. it's almost like baking a cake. The first time you do it, you should probably follow a recipe. And then if you want to start, toying with it and trying to make it different or better, then feel free to do it. But if you've never baked a cake in your life and you just try to start throwing stuff together, it's probably not going to work.
And baking a cake is very particular. All the ingredients have to be very exact. You have to mix it a certain way because I can't bake a cake. So.
So you can't bake a cake, but you can create an e-commerce store.
Yeah, because I'm a little more technical.
Are you?
More than baking a cake.
All right, well, that's good at least. All right, and I think that's how actually. So, the other stupid thing about the Optimized Lab magazine is I also have a website called Optimize Like a Boss, which is why I bought OptimizeLab.com.
Is lab short for anything?
Like a boss.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So, but I already had the website, the domain, and I was like, oh, well, I want to make this magazine. What cool name should I give it? And I'm like, I want to like optimize your life, business, entrepreneur, health, like Optimized Lab magazine, yeah. So since I had it already, I just used it. Now it's going to confuse the crap out of everyone, so I apologize for that.
Maybe if you interviewed like entrepreneurs, and maybe not necessarily like traveling entrepreneurs, but maybe even like people that have corporations that can't travel, they could provide insight. I don't know.
I'm sure they could, but to be honest, one of the reasons why I really try to only have people who actually travel with it is because even though, there are a lot of ways to make money. There's a lot of ways to start a business. But what I don't want are people who, are so tied to their job or so kind of like stuck in this world, in the corporate world, that they never even take a vacation. And what really impressed me was, I remember when I was in Thailand, you're one of the first people to come visit me when I was in Koh Tao.
Oh, yes.
I remember you being very unhappy that I forgot to mention that after you landed in Bangkok, there was another 14-hour bus ride.
Yes, it was so horrific. I traveled the same amount of time on land as I did on a plane. Then I had to take a ferry. It was like a 45-minute ferry.
I think it was like a 2-hour ferry.
2 hours? I don't know. Okay, like a 2-hour ferry. And then not only that, from the airport, I had to go to a travel agency and wait like hours for them to open and take the first bus.
Yeah, so I apologize for that. I think what it was is, so when I first got to Koh Tao, I was so excited just to be in Thailand. And it was kind of just, it was really, at the time, it was the only way to get there. And I was just kind of like, well, that's the way to get there. So, take this bus and then take this ferry and then I'll meet you at the pier.
And I had asked him, are you sure there's no flights? And he had said no. After I left, I looked online. I could have taken a little commuter plane and avoided the whole thing of traveling by myself in a foreign country as a female.
You know what? At the time, I honestly had no idea that you could fly. And I think what it was I was so, on a budget back then, so broke back then, that the idea of spending another $200 on a flight, and it might have been more, maybe, yeah, like another $200 on a flight was ridiculous to me when the bus was only $15.
So we all had to travel like a Johnny.
Yeah. That's the Not Traveling Like a Boss. That is the 12 Weeks in Thailand book, how to get around Thailand on $15 and travel the entire country for cheap. But you know what? I remember specifically, seeing your face fuming, and then I said to you, let's go to the beach and relax. And you're like, okay, but you're still mad. And I said to you, I promised you, I said, as soon as we get on the beach, you'll forget all that.
I landed on a beach. The ferry pulled into a beach. We're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
So the island we're talking about is called Koh Tao. It means Turtle Island, and it's in on the east coast of Thailand, and it's kind of a backpacker island. It's known for really cheap scuba diving. And I specifically still remember, just hanging out, laying on that beach. You're still mad, but I could see that you're slowly relaxing. I'm like, okay, you know what? This isn't that bad.
No, because my first place I stayed at had no hot water and the manual flushing toilet. It was your old hut.
Yeah. So I had moved out of my hut just a few days before, and I think I still had a few days on it before I give it back. So I'm like, oh yeah, you can stay here for free. But that's the Thai authentic experience. But it's fun to kind of think back on these experiences. And would you go back to Thailand again? Actually, you are.
Yeah, I am. I want to go for the retreat, and I was gonna go actually in May, but since I'm gonna go in October, I think I will skip.
So for those who don't know what the retreat is on the last, was it not the last episode?
Week.
Well, no. So what it was episode 29 of the podcast when I was with Anton in Koh Lanta. He randomly mentioned that he wanted to do a retreat for the course members, and that was the first time I ever heard of it. So, you would think that hang out with him for a week on the beach scuba diving, he would have mentioned something, but I don't know. He might have just thought of it on the spot during the podcast, to be honest. But now it's a reality. So what it is for anyone who's a member of AntonMethod.com, he sent out an email saying, hey, I'm going to have this retreat in Thailand because I want everyone to be able to get together, and it's going to be free. So I think that we originally were joking around where we heard, these other internet, things basically, or like seminar things saying, we're going to invite everybody out to Thailand, to the, to this thing, to this, this seminar, get to know everyone. And they're like, yeah, but it's $1,000. And plus your flight, plus your hotel, plus your everything. So that time I was like, well, obviously I'm not going to pay for everyone's flight or hotel, but I'm willing to rent, a big house and drop a couple $100 a day on a hotel or something for everyone to have a place to meet and hang out and, just kind of get together and help each other with stores. Because I firmly believe that the more members kind of get to know each other in real life. I mean, right now people are already pretty active in the forums, but I think one of the biggest problems is the people that start doing well and start making money stop going on the forums. And you never post.
Oh, I haven't logged in a while.
Okay, so why do you think that is?
I would go and look at the posts, and a lot of times I didn't understand what people were asking. I mean, some of those, I don't know if it's like, I just don't understand. Do you get those where you're reading?
What it is a lot, the people that ask those type of questions aren't actually making sales yet, so they're asking these hypothetical questions that don't matter.
Okay. And I agree. And I think I just get confused, and but I probably should go on there. Can I answer people's questions?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a forum. You just kind of talk to whoever. But it would be very good to have you on there because majority of the people on there are, they're excited because they're new. So they're, and then they're like, well, how come everyone else here is new? We're all the people who are doing well. And the people doing well are like Elaine, where you're like, well, you're making 10 sales a week, but you never ever even show your face on it.
Yeah, because I'm on the phone with, Shopify customer support, or on the phone with my suppliers, or, actually, I call a lot.
Yeah.
I have so many logged customer service calls. And I think maybe those people on the forum, one thing you can do is tell them to call the customer service. They answer the phone, they're 24 hours, and sometimes you have to be on hold for 20 minutes, but you're going to get the right answer.
Yeah, that's true. But I think, part of the forums on there, it's a good sense of community. And I really hope that once people start meeting each other in person, because another problem is people kind of spread out. I mean, there's a lot of people in Canada, some people in Australia, some people in, all across the US. But I really think that once they meet each other in person and they, put a face to the name, they're going to be a lot more helpful with each other. And also once they start really making a lot of money on their own stores, they're not going to shy away and be like, well, now that I'm making money, fuck everyone else, I'm just going to do my own thing. They're going to be like, well, you know what? Let me make sure everyone else is doing things correctly as well, so they can also have their stores to be successful and have the kind of independence that we do.
I think I'm kind of antisocial. I went and figured most of the stuff out. That's why Johnny brought to my attention and corrected the 10 things that were all wrong. It was more than 10 things with my store and site. Maybe if I had gone on the forums, I wouldn't be that far off the, path.
Yeah.
And I guess some people like to figure things out on their own and waste a lot of time.
So I just started doing phone coaching not that long ago, and at first I was kind of reluctant to do it. So I'm like, well, you know what? Just if you want to know something, just ask me on the forum, and I'll tell you for free. But I think now that I've been doing it for a while, and basically what people do is they set up phone coaching, and I'll get on and they'll say, okay, this is my store, this is what I've been doing. I'll just log in as as a customer and just look at it and be like, all right, so these are 5 reasons right away why I wouldn't buy from you. And that saves them so much time. I mean, they would literally spend, 3 months of having their store not working or not showing up because they're too close to their own product. They don't, they refuse to look at it really kind of from a customer's point of view.
Yeah, you need to take a step back. That's why it's good to take the 2-week break and come back and look at it and be like, oh my God, I never noticed that. Like, what the heck?
So the other really cool thing that we just installed for Elaine is the Luck Orange. It's basically, so if you go to johnnyfd.com, under resources, it's the very bottom one, and it's basically a way where you can see exactly what your customers are doing on your website.
It's amazing. So it shows what page they landed on. You can see their little mouse go up and down, see what they click on. You can tell if they're reading the description. And then you can see what they search and what pulls up and see what people are interested on your site, how many times they go to your About Me page. Because some people go back.
Yeah, you're like, why are they going back again?
And rereading it.
And it's basically the closest thing you can get to why are people not buying, or what is making them buy. Like, what are people actually looking at when they come to my site? And I even installed this for some of my other random sites as well. So I use it for e-commerce because that's what actually makes me money. But just almost out of curiosity, I'm like, all right, well, I wonder what people do when they go to this site, And
it's all anonymous, so he doesn't know that you're stalking.
Yeah, no, I don't actually know who you are. And actually, the way it works is, so it's not actually legal for them to record your screen. So it's not like they activate your webcam and you see your screen. What it is the computer knows what you're doing on the website. So it's really showing the site itself, the simulation of what the customer is doing. So it's so that's how they kind of pass all the privacy stuff. But what's really cool about the way they do it is, to you as the e-commerce store owner, it really feels like you're watching the person's screen, and it's the same kind of the mouse moves are the same. What pages they click would be the same. The amount of time they spend on
you can fast forward it so that you can kind of mouse through quicker what they're doing. But it's good to see why they're not clicking the add to cart button.
Yeah. Or if they do, why are they clicking on something else afterwards or leaving at a certain place? And it's a great way to find out what links are broken or where people are getting stuck. And little stupid things. Like one example is, I realized that when people click on certain photos, they would get stuck and not be able to close it because they couldn't find the X. So all I did was change the settings for that, and now hopefully people won't get stuck and just leave the site altogether anymore. So definitely I recommend that. Everything on my resources page I use personally and I recommend. I recommend this lifestyle.
Yeah. It's, if you can get to that point, it's definite and it's rewarding and you're motivated. Because once you get to that point, you have to be wanting it. And this might not be for you. Because we were talking about another friend who didn't like the whole Shopify, drop shipping, e-commerce. It just wasn't for them. But they're probably going to be successful in doing something else.
Yeah, and I think part of it is kind of like, for me, the reason why I always recommend dropshipping is because that's what worked for me. I tried a lot of different things, and this is the first thing that's really made me money. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is what everyone should do. But at the end of the day, you're right. Not everybody wants to be a business owner. Not everyone wants to sell physical products. Some people will be happy writing books. Some people
programming.
Will be writing code. Oh my God, I would hate to do that. It'd be so annoying.
But if you enjoyed it, you can get paid doing small projects. That would be rewarding for that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some people love doing that. Like for me, I like having a customer buy stuff and having it, sent to their house. Even though I'm not the one sending it, I kind of like the idea of people coming to my store, buying something, and then having me have someone else send it to them, and they get it in the mail, and then they send me an email saying, "Thank you so much. This is awesome."
It's because you're able to handle the customer service. Some people may not be as okay with talking to people. They don't like calling suppliers. Some people just can't do that. Part of the process.
But I really believe that, it's one of those things where if you want to be successful in life, you have to at least get out of your comfort zone initially. Like, I haven't picked up the phone to call a supplier in 8 months. I mean, all that stuff was done during this first 2 months. But I'm glad I did it. It was uncomfortable for me, especially because I was in Thailand at the time. So I had to stay up until midnight and then call and be like, "Hey, good morning. How you doing?" yeah, it's sunny out here in California as well.
But if you think about customer service is a no-brainer. You're going to answer every email, phone call, voicemail, whether you like the person that's calling or not. And you wonder why some stores have such bad customer service. Some people just can't do it.
And that's why we hire people that can.
Yeah, I wish they would too.
When are you going to hire someone to take care of all that stuff for you?
Probably not anytime soon.
Okay. So, do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not taking too much of my time. It's something I can handle. And I need to figure it all out before I can hand it off.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, you have a full-time job, and you're doing this basically on the side.
Yeah.
How long did it take you initially to set up the store and then get your first sale?
Well, actually, I got a sale right away. I don't know how. When I did the second site, and then I got real motivated to add all these products in and upload. And then nothing really happened. And then I don't know if it's just over time, your ranking gets higher on Google. But, a sale here and there came in. And then I looked at other ways to advertise. And it just sort of got better. And then it went through a dry spell. So, I don't think I'm at a point where I need somebody to do this for me. Okay,
that makes sense. Well, I mean, I'm just curious. For the people that have... I get asked this question a lot. People are like, I have a full-time job, but I want to do this on the side, so eventually I can have at least a passive income on the side. At least I can have an alternate source of income.
My advice for people like that is to dedicate, if you can, 2 hours, maybe every other day. Because when you do it every day, you get burnt out.
Okay.
And just turn off your phone and just have that to-do list. And it's like when you cram for a exam.
Okay.
Just force yourself to get as much done as possible. Once you're motivated, you want to keep on working, but then you have to go to work the next day. It's like you can't work until 2 a.m, even though you're on a roll, and just cut yourself off and then work on it again, and you get a lot of work done. Because after a while, you get too tired, and it's like, midnight 11, midnight 1 a.m, and you're still working because you don't want to stop. You've made all this progress, and then you go back and you see all the mistakes that you made.
Okay.
And it's such a waste of time.
That makes sense. So, are you talking about 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? How long would that take if you did 2 hours a day every other day?
If I had done it that way, I probably honestly would think I would have gotten more work done.
Okay.
Because it's like an efficiency, like the return.
Law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, exactly. So probably the same amount of time, 3 months. I honestly think, and I wouldn't have stayed up until 1 a.m, did 4 to 6 hours, and just not be efficient.
Okay, and I do also agree that it's better to work kind of smarter than to work blindly hard, because the worst thing you can do is waste an hour doing something because you're half asleep and then realize, oh crap, I gotta do it all over again. But I think that's a very fair amount of time, because I was working on my site for almost 2 months, pretty much full time, as in 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it took me 2 months to get everything up and running and start really making consistent sales. So for 3 months doing it part time, on the side, I think that's definitely doable.
Do you think you would have accomplished more if maybe you took more breaks and took a step back? And
yeah, because I think eventually
you get burnt out.
I did too. Yeah, but I think that's why it's so important to have people in your life to keep you motivated. And say, you know what, just keep doing it, and do everything you need to do, and then take a step back, take a look. Okay, what do I actually? What's the minimum viable? What do I actually need? And I need at least X amount of products. I need 50 products. I need at least 2 suppliers. I need at least contact us, about us page. I need my ads to be running. I need my shopping cart to work. I need my phone number. And I really think just with that, you can at least make a couple sales. It won't be optimized. You won't be making, as many sales as you should, but the best motivation is the money coming in.
Yeah. It's a sense of accomplishment.
So imagine, okay, so let me ask you this. So imagine if tomorrow, for whatever reason, you just moved to Thailand full time and you didn't have a normal job anymore. You didn't have any responsibilities and you just kind of focused on this. How much more productive do you think you would be?
I think I'd pretty much be the same. I mean, there's a lot of tweaks I need to do,
okay.
But I don't know if I would, be able. I don't know if there's really that many changes I can do to make a significant change.
Uh-huh.
Like these little things will improve it, but it's already up. The products are in there for it to have like a tipping point.
Okay.
I don't know that exists.
Okay, so then that time would be better spent either just relaxing and traveling or
starting a new site. That's the next thing I want to do is start a new site because I feel like each site, the sales aren't consistent. It's up and down, so when one's down, hopefully the other one's still consistent. You need a couple, to keep it going.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what's really cool is like if let's say you owned a normal business, it's not like you could just be like, I was going to open 2 more businesses. But with this, because each startup cost is, what do you actually spend starting it per site?
You've got, the Shopify fees, you've got the advertising fees, you've got some small service fees that you pay for here and there if you upgrade or add some features. And you start to learn what features work and what don't. So it's a good idea to test them out and kind of know what's out there. And some of them do ruin your site, so you gotta be careful.
Okay, so which ones to avoid?
I added a whole bunch of stuff on my first site, and I unadded it. I called Shopify. I was like, well, does it mess up my site when I add and remove all these? I added so many apps. I'm like, this is so cool. I get a free trial. I tried so much now. I tried the upsell app. I tried like abandoned cart app and everything. I was like, I need all of this. And I just realized, it's better to be simple and just have it functioning than all these pop-ups of, there was one that like if a customer's about to leave your site, you can do like a save 10% coupon to keep them on the site.
I'm lucky that I never really looked through that much. On my iPhone, I have like 5 apps, and on my Shopify store, besides the 2 apps that Anton recommends in the course, I don't think I installed anything. And most of it's actually built in Shopify nowadays. Like they're really good where they see what apps work and then they build it in. Like the abandoned shopping cart app, that's no longer needed because Shopify builds that in.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and the Contact Us page app, which on your site look like bullet point bubbles, that's built in now too. So that's why I don't mind paying Shopify $80 a month, which is my current plan. I think you can start at $30 a month. But I figure, if they're making me a couple $1,000s, I'll give them $80 to keep improving the site and keep making it better.
Do you think I have the $30 a month plan. Do you think the $80 a month plan made any significant changes to the way you do your business? Run it?
I would say in the beginning, don't upgrade to $80 until it makes financial sense. And what I mean by that is the payment processor for the credit cards is 2.9%. But if you upgrade to the higher plan, that goes down to 2.5. So once that makes financial sense, then upgrade. There's not really a reason to do it before that.
For 0.5%, that would be an awful lot of sales to justify the $60
But if
increase. Are you?
I'm running, 20, 30K through each store. So, I don't know. I haven't actually. I remember I did the math. I don't remember specifically off the top of my head what it is, but we'll do that right now. So let's say $20,000 times
0.05.
Is it 05?
Oh,
no,
05.
05. That's $100.
Okay.
So basically, if you're selling $20,000, around $20,000. Even
like
$15,000 a month, then that 0.05% is $100 already. So
the credit card savings, would make up for it. Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna turn into a pumpkin because it's been over an hour. So thank you for being on the show, Elaine.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for visiting.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I'm gonna see you out in Thailand. And everyone, peace out. And I want to give a big shout out to all the people who have been leaving those 5-star reviews on the iTunes store. We have Brian Farrow, this guy named Do I Really Need a Nick, and Rob how do you say his name?
Gorange?
Rob Gorange. Yeah, so I can't pronounce your names, but really appreciate all the ratings for taking a couple minutes to do that. It's kind of a pain in the butt. You can't even do it on iTunes. You have to do it in the iTunes store, and then you can give us a 5-star rating if you really enjoyed this. And check out my podcast. Well, I don't know, you're on it already, right?
Yeah.
Check out my blog. It's johnnyfd.com. If you want to check out Anton's course, it's antonmethod.com. And you can go to the show notes for this. It's episode 31, Travel Like a Boss podcast. Peace out.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.